Look around at successful relationships. Notice anything? A lot of them have an older man. Not because he's rich, not because younger men aren't trying, but because older men operate on a different level entirely. They've learned things, developed standards, built boundaries, and they don't compromise on them just to have someone around. And younger men, they're still figuring this out, still making the mistakes older men already learned from. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 7 ways older men set standards that younger men simply can't match. Not because younger men are bad, but because some things only come with experience. Before we get into it, are you an older man who's finally figured it out? Comment "figured it out" if you are. Comment "still learning" if you're getting there. And if you're finding value here, hit that like button and subscribe. All right, let's get into it. Way number 1, they walk away from disrespect immediately. Here's the first way. Older men don't tolerate disrespect. Not even once, not even a little bit. Someone disrespects them, they're done. No second chances, no trying to understand why, no making excuses for her behavior, just done. Because older men have been disrespected before. They've tried to make it work, they've given second chances, they've accepted apologies. And they learned it doesn't get better, it gets worse. Because accepting disrespect once tells people they can do it again. Younger men don't know this yet, so they tolerate things they shouldn't. They make excuses, they hope it was just a bad day. But older men? They've already played that game, and they know how it ends. According to research on relationship dynamics, tolerating disrespect early in relationships strongly predicts escalating disrespect over time. What that means is simple. The first time someone disrespects you sets the standard for how they'll treat you forever, and older men refuse to set that standard low. Number 2, they don't chase women who aren't interested. Here's the second way. Older men don't chase. If a woman isn't showing clear, obvious interest, they move on immediately. No trying to convince her, no proving their worth, no sticking around hoping she'll change her mind. They just leave, politely, permanently, because older men have learned that if she wanted to, she would, and if she's not, no amount of chasing will change that. Younger men haven't learned this, so they chase, they pursue, they think persistence is romantic. But older men know persistence isn't romantic when the interest isn't mutual. It's just exhausting for both people. According to research on attraction and pursuit, reciprocal interest in the early stages is one of the strongest predictors of relationship formation and satisfaction. In other words, if you have to chase, it's already not going to work. And older men learned this the hard way, so younger men don't have to, but younger men usually have to learn it themselves. Way number 3, they require reciprocity in everything. Here's the third way. Older men require reciprocity in effort, in investment, in interest, in everything. If they're planning dates, she needs to plan dates. If they're texting first, she needs to text first. If they're making effort, she needs to make effort. And if it's one-sided, they stop. Immediately. Because older men know that relationships require equal investment. And if they're doing all the work, she's not actually interested. She's just comfortable. Younger men don't enforce this, so they end up doing everything while she does nothing, and they wonder why she's not engaged. But older men learned that lesson already. If she's not reciprocating, she's not interested enough, and that's all they need to know. According to research from the Journal of Social Psychology, Relationship Equity, the balance of investment and benefit between partners is one of the strongest predictors of relationship satisfaction and longevity. So requiring reciprocity isn't demanding, it's healthy, and it's a standard younger men need to learn. Number 4, they have a life outside of relationships. Here's the fourth way. Older men have lives, full lives, jobs they care about, hobbies they enjoy, friends they value, goals they're working toward. And a woman has to fit into that life. She doesn't become that life. Younger men make women their entire focus. They drop everything, change their plans, abandon their friends, all to accommodate her. And that seems romantic. but it's actually suffocating because now she's responsible for his entire happiness. And that's too much pressure. But older men? They have balance. She's important. But she's not everything, and that balance makes them more attractive because they're complete people, not half people looking for someone to complete them. According to relationship research, individuals who maintain independent interests and social connections report higher relationship satisfaction than those who merge their identity entirely with their partner. What that tells us is having your own life makes you better in a relationship. And older men figured this out after years of making relationships their whole world and watching them fail. Number 5, they're comfortable being alone. Here's the 5th way, and this might be the most important one. Older men are comfortable being alone. They're not desperate for a relationship. They don't need someone to feel complete. They don't settle out of fear of loneliness. They have standards, and if those standards aren't met, they'd rather be alone. Younger men are terrified of being alone, so they stay in bad relationships. They tolerate things they shouldn't. They compromise on things they care about. All because being with the wrong person feels better than being alone, but older men learned that being alone is better than being with someone wrong, way better. According to research on relationship quality, people who choose to be single rather than settle report higher life satisfaction than people in unsatisfying relationships. So older men set a standard, meet it or they walk. And they're genuinely okay if you walk, because alone isn't the worst option. Wrong person is. Number 6, they don't negotiate their values. Here's the 6th way. Older men know their values, what matters to them, what they stand for, what they won't compromise on, and they don't negotiate those, not for anyone. If family is important, she needs to value family. If honesty is important, she needs to be honest. If loyalty is important, she needs to be loyal. And if she's not aligned with his core values, he doesn't try to change her or convince her. He just leaves. Younger men bend their values. They convince themselves it's not that important. They compromise on things that matter, and then they're miserable because living against your values to keep someone around destroys you from the inside. But older men already made that mistake. They already tried compromising who they are, and they learned it doesn't work. According to research on values alignment, couples with similar core values report significantly higher relationship satisfaction and lower rates of dissolution. So knowing your values and refusing to compromise isn't stubborn. It's wise. And it's a standard that separates older men from younger ones. Number 7, they demand respect for their time. And now the 7th way. Older men value their time, and they demand that others respect it. If she's late repeatedly, she's out. If she cancels last minute, she's out. If she keeps him waiting, she's out. Because time is the most valuable thing an older man has, and disrespecting his time is disrespecting him. Younger men let their time get wasted. They wait around. They accept last-minute cancellations. They tolerate flakiness. Because they don't value their time yet. They think they have unlimited amounts of it. But older men know time runs out, and every hour wasted on someone who doesn't respect it is an hour they'll never get back. According to research on time perception, people become more protective of their time as they age, correlating with increased selectivity in relationships and social connections. What that shows is valuing your time isn't selfish, it's necessary, and it's a standard that protects you from people who would waste it. So let's bring this all together. 7 ways older men set standards. They walk away from disrespect. They don't chase. They require reciprocity. They have their own lives. They're comfortable alone. They don't negotiate values. And they demand respect for their time. And here's what younger men need to understand. These aren't things you develop overnight. These are lessons learned through experience, through mistakes, through pain, but you can learn them faster by watching, by listening, by adopting these standards before you have to learn them the hard way. Because here's the truth. Women respect standards. Not the men who have none, Not the men who bend for everyone, the men who know what they want and refuse to settle. And that's what older men have figured out. That having standards doesn't make you difficult, it makes you valuable. Which standard do you think is most important? Drop a number 1 through 7 in the comments. And if this made you rethink your standards, I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe. More real talk coming. Thank you for spending this time with me. I'll see you in the next one.